Our dream is your bookie's nightmare. My friends in the desert, Todd, Fuhrman, and Kenny White, side by side, offering free game on a Sunday. Can't beat it. Gentlemen, let's end the week here on a high note with some hardwood wagers, beginning with the current gold standard of the Western Conference, the Utah Jazz of all teams. They have not lost since January 6th, 11 in a row, straight up and against the number. They're catching 1.5 in Denver. Seems like a square play, but Todd, how do we look elsewhere?
Well, for me, I'm going to try and go against some of the momentum here with Utah. This is a side that has been outstanding, and you have to give Quinn Snyder a ton of credit because they haven't missed a beat playing without Donovan Mitchell the last couple of games. You're getting the kind of production from guys like Mike Conley and Rudy Gobert that are stepping up, and you're seeing them lock in at the defensive side. But when you dig into this win streak, the only team they've beaten with a winning record was the Denver Nuggets, 109-105. And I think Denver's had this game circled, a little bit of home revenge. Denver's been playing great basketball as well. You wouldn't know that by the 119-109 loss against the Spurs. But all that comes up must come down, and I get the feeling that the betting market has finally caught up to the Utah Jazz. This number's been on the move all morning, and I'm going to go against it. I'm going to take Denver right around a pick'em or even as a short underdog if you shop around a little bit.
Yeah, Jazz 7-4 to the under in that 11-game winning streak. 20th in pace. The Nuggets number 26 in pace. The last time they played, Todd, you mentioned the 109-105 win in Denver. That came 114, went under the total. More importantly, just 90 possessions in that basketball game. 90 possessions. And if I can get a 90-possession game again, I'm going under. I mentioned the 7-4 under in the 11-game winning streak for Utah. Donovan Mitchell, the concussion protocol. Not sure if he'll play or not today. He's a question mark. 23 points per game. Even if he does, I still love the game under. If he doesn't, love it even more. So under the total for me today. Simple
laws of physics taking us here to the Denver Nuggets and the under. I like it, gentlemen. The no defense Nets, they're laying 8 on the road against Bradley Beal. I won't even say and the Wizards. It's just Bradley Beal at this point. Total is a robust 244. Kenny, Sunday usually means even more lax defensive efforts out of some of these superstars, but 244, how do you see it?
I'm going to continue to ride that Brooklyn train over. 14-1 to the over their last 15 in this this run right here. And, you know, it is Bradley Beal, but it is Westbrook. And the Wizards are 5-2 over in their home games. They just played on the 3rd. Washington wins the game 123-122. That came 245. So another revenge game for the Nets here in this one. They're just amazing. They're putting up points. I made this one 252. I know that continues to get high, but you know what? It's still, I don't think, high enough.
And I'm right there with you, Kenny. If it's not broken, why bother to fix it? And when you look at this Washington Wizards team, interestingly enough, when they play teams with a winning record in the last 69 times it's happened, they've gone 48-21 to the over, which tells me, quite frankly, you don't play defense against bad teams. You definitely don't do it against good teams. And Brooklyn right now clicking on all cylinders offensively. Now, we do have to pay attention to the injury report. James Harden listed as questionable with a thigh. But as Kenny alluded to, we saw last game, even without Kevin Durant out there, Brooklyn has so many different ways they can beat you. And the betting market just hasn't responded to how good this team is offensively and how lackluster they are on the defensive end. Washington is the perfect team for Brooklyn to potentially score 140. Maybe even they flirt with 150, much like they did against the Oklahoma City Thunder last time we saw them. I'm going over the total right there in lockstep with Kenny on this one.
Yeah, if only those Nets had some depth and all-star talent. We'll see how it all plays out here on Sunday. The only team out in front of the Nets in the East, currently the Sixers. They've won 5 of 6, and they're still undefeated, 11-0 when their entire starting 5 all play. Something's different about this team that in the past has given us trust issues. They're laying 2.5 on the road in Indy. Todd, what's your read on this one?
Yeah, what's different, honestly, Joe, is the Doc Rivers impact. We're seeing these guys kind of buy in and playing a little bit more of a complete basketball game than we saw under the previous coaching regime. Now, when you look at the 76ers, you mentioned how good they've been everywhere, but the reality of it is this is still just an average basketball team when they go out on the road. And Joel Embiid was tremendous against the Minnesota Timberwolves, but that was the perfect matchup for him. The Timberwolves didn't have any size on the inside with no Karl Anthony Towns and Naz Reid. Here you're looking at a Pacers Pacers team that can actually defend the interior. And Kenny talked about it last week when we broke down the Pacers about how much different this team is when they have a rim protector in Miles Turner. Meanwhile, you look at the rest of this Pacers roster, I like what Malcolm Brogdon gives them on the perimeter. And I just get the feeling that the betting market is kind of caught up a little bit to the 76ers. This number has ticked up a little bit this morning, which has made the home underdog slightly more compelling. Lean under, but I'm going to take the Pacers catching the bucket at home.
Yeah, great handicap, Todd. Love the angles. Exactly. I'm on the same side, taking the points with the Pacers here. And, trying to find motivation in these games for these teams. Well, Philadelphia beat the Lakers. A big game. I thought they may have a letdown against Minnesota, but you were right. Minnesota just no talent right now and nobody to stop Embiid in the middle. So could be a letdown because when you look at Indiana, they come off a couple of wins over Toronto and Charlotte. And then they played Charlotte again in a sandwich game where they just beat, and they had a complete letdown, didn't come to play. Charlotte beats them, and Philadelphia's looking at that going, hey, these guys just lost to Charlotte. We'll walk in there and beat Indiana. Indiana's very solid, well-coached basketball team. They weren't looking ahead. They were looking ahead to this game for the Sixers. So I like this. Good spot for the Pacers today.
All right, guys, elsewhere, the Magic and Raptors tipping it up in Super Bowl City. Raps laying 5.5, total set at 220.5. Kenny, what's the homework tell us about this one?
Toronto has been disappointing so far, but they're still a very solid offensive team, 8th in the NBA in January, where Orlando's number 30. I think Toronto needs a win. They got a couple players maybe out today, Dwight Powell and OJ Anunoby, but that'll leave Chris Boucher to get more minutes, and I really like his game. That leaves Siakam more minutes, Lowry more minutes. I think those guys are going to have to be on the court for 40 minutes because they got a 3-game losing streak they need to break. I like Toronto today, minus the 5.
Interesting scheduling spot for the Raptors. Coming into the year, you would say, wait, if there was a team in the NBA that was disrupted by the Super Bowl, I don't think the Raptors would be the poster child for that, but they'll head out on the road for 2 straight weeks, given all the festivities that are headed to Tampa for the big game. When you look at this Raptors side, Kenny talked about it. You want to discuss a model of inconsistency. That's what we're getting from Nick Nurse's bunch, and whether it's being relocated or a variety of other factors, they're now mired in their 3rd 3-game losing streak of the season. It's imperative for them to get right today against the Orlando Magic, a Magic team that's really struggled, going 2-10 straight up, just 3-9 against the spread in their last 12. And if Toronto is going to be successful in doing so, it's got to start at the defensive end. So while I understand completely where Kenny's coming from, the Raptors would be the only way I would look on a side standpoint. I'm going to go under the total. I just don't think Orlando can bring the kind of offensive threat to really scare the Raptors. And if Toronto wants to be successful, they don't want to try and go up and down the court. Look for them to lock in defensively. I'm going under here.
Yeah, let's be honest. I mean, the Raptors are on the road for 6 months, and that's really the long and short of it as they try and make home elsewhere. Not that missing a winter in Canada wouldn't help them. I don't know. There's a lot of angles to it. They're just not playing good basketball right now. Finally, the Cavs and the T-Wolves are going to round out the action, tipping at 8 Eastern. Cavaliers laying 3.5 on the highway, total coming in at 218.5. Todd, could be a tough watch here. Add some intrigue for us. How should we attack this one?
Well, a tough watch only gets tougher, Joe, when I make a case to go under the total here. These are the 2 worst teams in the NBA in offensive efficiency. And right now, the Timberwolves just don't have reliable scoring threats. They utilized a 4-guard lineup the other night. It was actually the 10th new starting lineup that coach Ryan Saunders has used through the team's first 18 games. You did see rookie Anthony Edwards get his first start at this level, but you wonder against Cleveland if that's going to work, because Cleveland has a guard tandem in Darius Garland and Colin Sexton that don't get nearly enough credit for what they're doing to try and spark the changing culture there. Cleveland, though, of course, has lost 3 out of the last 4. They scored just 55 points through the first 3 quarters against the Knicks. And ultimately, when I look at this game, this total is about 4 or 5 points too high. I'm going to go under here because I need my head examined to bet the Timberwolves right now. And I'd probably need a lobotomy if I wanted to lay points with the Cavs on the road.
Yeah, another great handicap. This is a game that I love under. Just the fact that the Cavaliers 7-2 under in the road. It's because that pace, 29th in the NBA, and that offense, you mentioned it, 29th in the NBA. Their defense ranked number 23. Nothing to write home about. They're just so poor offensively, especially on the road. D'Angelo Russell, another question mark today, a 22-point score for Minnesota. He may not play. That would just be the cherry on top of the cake in this one. So give me the under 218. Me and Todd are in lockstep today in the NBA.
Yeah, a lot of the homework is coming out with the same result here. And when Todd Fuhrman, Kenny White agree on things, we walk to the window. But we need to walk to the window with just one play here. Boil it down to your very best, one wager on the NBA Sunday slate. Kenny, where are you taking us?
Yeah, well, Todd started it, and I wanted to, give him the, hey, good job, Todd. The Denver Nuggets today at home. They're 5-1 ATS their last 6. After starting the year 4-9 ATS, they've really started to turn it on. And Todd mentioned it. I look back at that Utah winning streak. One game against the team with a winning record, and it was against Denver, but Denver wasn't playing well at that time. They are now. Michael Porter Jr. is back in the lineup. That's been the big reason this team's been better. He's averaging 17 a game, 7 rebounds, and his defense is better this year, just looking at the metrics, than last year's. That's a big plus for the Nuggets. The Nuggets come to play today. They beat Utah. Hopefully, Donovan Mitchell will be watching on the sideline. That'll even be a bigger boost. And when it comes to the news that he's not playing, Denver's going to be a bigger favorite. If not, they still get the victory.
Kenny White shorting the hottest stock in the NBA right now. Got to pick him at the top because what goes up must come down. Todd Fuhrman gave us that. Are you also giving us the same lock here as Kenny White?
Well, Joe, I get worried when you talk about shorting stock. I don't want to be on the wrong end of a short squeeze right now and be sitting there holding the ball with some of the things that we've seen go on in the financial markets. But yes, I am going to make a case for Denver as my best bet, and I'm going to stay right there. It's great when Kenny and I see eye to eye. One of the things about this Jazz team, even during this win streak, if you just isolate the last 5 games, surprisingly enough, they're only shooting 45% from the floor. What Utah has been able to do so effectively, they've made 319 triples this season through the first 19 games. I mean, they're lighting the world on fire from beyond the arc. Now, if you shop around at this point, the number is starting to leak out in Utah's favor, which leads me to believe that Donovan Mitchell might be getting upgraded in this one. But I have no problem here still backing Denver. I think you want to see the market adjust a little bit. This is the perfect spot for Denver to atone for that 109-105 loss earlier. And these are the kind of games where you have to hold serve at home against a white-hot Utah Jazz side. Give me the Denver Nuggets here to hold serve in their own building.
Our big banks always win as well. Todd Fuhrman, Kenny White giving us winning picks. Thank you, guys. Let's take another look at those picks. When Todd Fuhrman and Kenny White are on the same page, you get on that same page as well. Might even have a correlated parlay or two in there because even when Kenny goes under and Todd goes Denver, Kenny has a lean towards Denver. Obviously, this top play, both experts love the Nuggets laying 1.5 against the Jazz. Get it right now because that line is bouncing around a bit. Nets and Wizards, both guys playing it over. Sixers, Pacers, both guys like Indy. We got an under in a Toronto play. Under and under for Cavs, T-Wolves, 218.5.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.